Hey there, friends, and welcome to episode 256 of Just the Zoo of Us. In this week's episode, a spider scientist returns to share with us his top 3 favorite spiders. We discuss spiders who go from moving like shadows to soaring through the air, spider cowboys with sick lasso moves, wife guy spiders who move in on the first date, how spiders appear in video games and movies, and how they could be so much cooler, and of course so much more. Just the Zoo of Us presents Dr. Sebastian Echeverri's Top 3 Spiders. Hello, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford with Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast. I'm so excited to be welcoming back a friend to this podcast who people who have listened to the show for a long time may remember. You have joined us in the past, and you're back to talk about spiders all over again. This is Dr. Sebastian Echeverri. Say hi.
Hey, Ellen. You couldn't keep me away. I think last time... I believe our last episode was the jumping spider episode, and I remember we went long on that because even with just jumping spiders, I was like, there's so many things to talk about.
But can I tell you, I've thought of you so many times since then, because since I've gotten better about knowing what a jumping spider is and knowing what they look like, every time I see one, I think about all the awesome stuff that you told me about their special eyes. Look with your special eyes.
They see things with their special eyes. In very weird
I think about that. Like every time I see a little jumping spider, I think about how they're seeing me
Exactly.
back. So
no matter what direction you're looking at them from, they're seeing you back.
Exactly. That episode was very eye-opening for me. And you're back once again for people who are either new to you or, it's been a while. We can refresh some memories. What got you into the work that you do with our 8-legged buddies?
Yeah, so I'm a spider scientist. I did my PhD on a variety of things, but the courtship dances of jumping spiders was like the main thing. And I grew up, like probably many of the listeners, just like mainlining animal content
just
on
a
TV.
Steady IV drip.
Back when I was a kid, there was a channel called Animal Planet and Discovery Channel and the Science Channel. And now if you go there now, they're quite different. But back in the day, you have to trust me on this. They used to show things called documentaries about science and nature.
Real ones, not ones about mermaids and megalodons. These were real ones.
There was there was no like trucking. There was no like pawn shops. It was just, you'd go to like the Science Channel and then we had a science documentary. And it was like, this is what they did, which I know sounds weird.
This was the golden age of like scientific, like special interest programming.
Yes. And so that was sort of like just being fed into my brain constantly. And so I knew that I loved animals from like a very early age and loved learning weird things about them and telling people those weird things, but didn't really know what that was in terms of like a job. Like, when you watch the documentary, there's no documentary about how to become someone who is on the documentary.
How do I get someone to pay me to do this?
Yeah, exactly, which was like a big mystery. So I just sort of continued on in school and like, I'll study biology. I like nature. I actually started taking like classes in like ornithology and stuff when I was in undergrad. And so I was like originally a bird person as my dark, shameful past.
Listen, we all experiment a little bit in college. It's okay.
Yeah, everyone has a bird phase.
I know all of the people who are still hardcore birders are listening to this like, it's not a phase, Mom.
I mean, I still bird, I'll still go out, I'll see some birds. I enjoy it.
You're bird curious.
But I was lucky enough to, at some point when I was applying for grad school, have someone show me a video of a jumping spider doing its courtship dance. And that was like this like awakening moment in my brain, and the like spider center just kind of like turned on. And it hasn't really turned off since. I like went to grad school, studied spiders, and then from jumping spiders kind of went on to learn more about other spiders and arachnids in general and just like the fun of bugs. And after finishing my PhD in 2020, momentary pause where we acknowledge our age and feel sad, I went into science communication, which is the sort of work that you're doing right now, of like telling people cool stuff about animals in a way that's fun. And bounced around in a bunch of jobs there. I've done like so many things that I forget what I've done, but some of the ones that people might know or would be fun to check out if you look up Crash Course on YouTube. There's a zoology series, and I was the designer behind that. So I made the entire curriculum and the content. I recorded a podcast for the BBC. If you look at the BBC Earth podcast, the latest season, I'm one of the co-hosts, and it was a really, really fun show.
It is so fun to listen to.
It was a blast to make.
You can hear so much like love and nerdiness shining through, which like I feel like BBC content, a lot of times people expect a level of like academic sort of like posturing, I think, from like you hear BBC, you think like David Attenborough, very sort of cut and dry. This is like y'all are clearly having a good time with it.
It was very fun. And me and my other co-host, Dr. Rutano Shackleton, she studied elephants. And so we had big animals, small animals represented, but we're both just like huge nerds. And so if you like this right now, go check that out, because it's a very similar energy of just, they let us into a room with mics and we started talking about cool animal things. And then they let us interview people. And we do that for like 14 episodes. So that's been really fun. And most recently, I started working at the Xerces Society for Invertebrate Conservation, doing a lot of their communication work. So their website, social media, all that stuff. And like the name says, it's one of maybe the only nonprofit that I'm aware of, at least that operates across North America, about conserving invertebrate animals, because most conservation money and work is focused on vertebrates, which are like big, but a very small percentage of animals. And so we're speaking up for all the animals that don't kind of get that rep otherwise. And the great news is, if you do stuff to help those animals, that they're kind of the foundation of a lot of ecosystems. And so if they're doing good, everyone else above in the food chain also benefits. So it is the sort of like, we say we're conserving invertebrates, but like a lot of our work is actually protecting a lot of the animals that eat invertebrates, like birds and mammals and lizards that also need help.
A rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah. A rising tide of bugs feeds all animals. I don't know. I tried.
It does.
You can cut that one.
It's in there
bad
somewhere. It's in there.
Sometimes
no,
I go
you have to stand in your truth.
Sometimes I go for it, and then it's like, the ADHD brain is like, you always just go for it in the conversation, and like you're building the joke as you run. Sometimes you don't make it, and you fall off.
No, you don't understand. I only cut out my bad jokes that don't land.
Okay, see that, you have to say that in the emails when we're booking, when we're like setting this up, you have to put that in.
You've also written a book about spiders.
Yeah, so I just wrote, or I say just wrote, it took me a good bit, but I've recently come out with my own field guide to spiders in the United States and Canada. And this is something that I've sort of wanted ever since I started getting into spiders, where I knew that spiders were cool. I wanted to learn a little bit about them, but I was starting from like very little knowledge, I think like a lot of people. And so there are, and there continue to be, these really good, detailed field guides and textbooks about spiders that are incredible to like learn all these little details. But they are big books that, especially when I first started, and this was even me in grad school, I was like, I don't feel like I know enough to get started here. And so that I would rarely use them. And so I really wanted a guide that was like comprehensive, helpful, but was also like small and accessible. And that's the book that I made. So it's called Spiders of the United States and Canada. And it's this little, they say pocket-sized, maybe cargo pocket-sized. It's like a tall, pretty thin book.
Purse-sized, for sure.
Yeah, very, very...
fanny pack sized?
Yes, very travelable, very like throw this in any bag you have kind of book. And I like put it all together, which is still a crazy thing for me to say. Like, I don't believe it, even though I'm seeing my name here and there's a photo of me on the back. But basically what it is, it's the book that I wish that I had. If you're someone who is starting at the point of like, I don't know anything about spiders, and I like want to learn basic things. I want to see a spider and be able to figure out, hey, what's its deal? What's it up to? What kind of spider is it?
It's your spider dex.
Yeah, it's my little spider dex. It's got a little, okay, thank you. For size reference, it is about the size of the Generation 1 Pokemon Pokedex, where it opens up a little bit, folds out, and you've got like 2 panels, with your information and stuff.
It's got the pictures, the flavor
Yeah,
text.
yeah, yeah. There's flavor text for every family of spider telling you how they live. The Pokedex is an influence, I think, on a lot of field guides, or, that is cyclical, as like the people who started with Pokemon now are people who are writing field guides, but you know how
Hmm.
it is.
I think it's really useful for people who are otherwise like afraid of spiders because so much of that fear is from the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see a spider, you don't know, is this a dangerous spider? Is this a spider I need to be worried about? Is this a spider that's going to jump on me? Is this a spider, but I think that if you have the ability to look at a spider and at least know, okay, that looks to me like you said, like an orb weaver
Mm-hmm.
or a wolf spider, or like if you can kind of get an idea of like the general vibe of that spider, that can really help ease a lot of your anxieties, to be like, okay, you know what, I know that's probably not one that's going to be venomous, or that's probably not one that's going to like jump on me or something like
Exactly.
that.
In the United States and Canada, there are only two groups of spiders that have venom that if you were to get bit, you want to go to the doctor. Those are the black widows and the brown recluses, or the recluses, because there's some other recluses. We have sections on those because the really nice thing is you just have to rule those two out, and then you know that the animal that you're working with or that you're seeing isn't medically dangerous. It might still make you uncomfortable. It might still be like, all right, I'm going to give it space because that's what the animal wants and what I want. But you can feel, a lot more comfortable if you want to take that interaction further and take a closer look, right? There's actually a really useful section that I think would have answered a lot of questions that I had when I was a kid of like, what makes a spider a spider? Like, what are they? That is here in the back as a reference for, am I even looking at a spider? Because I had the temptation, we're going to talk about some spiders later in this. I had the temptation to just pick 3 different types of ant mimics for my favorite spider. And I was like, I have to restrain myself. But sometimes you think you're looking at a spider and you're not. And sometimes you think you're looking at an ant and you're not. There are many things that sort of like to live in that blend of like, what is this? I don't
Mhm.
know. And when you have the information to like be able to discover when an animal's in disguise, it's a fun little treat.
You have an advantage on making insight checks
Yes,
against
yes,
their
yeah.
deception rolls.
Yeah, there are spiders out there with expertise in deception. You have to be careful. They did take 1 level in Rogue for expertise. They are multi-classing. Be warned.
Those feats are crazy. So you've done so much work to educate people about animals, like you said, big and small, especially with the little guys that I think maybe people are not so inclined to warm up to right off the bat. I feel like spiders are usually the kind of animal that people carve out an exception to when people say, I love animals. And then if you hit them with a, well, what about spiders? That's usually a little like, well, hold on.
And
That's
that's the
usually a bridge
thing.
too far.
For a lot of people, they grew up not ever having the chance to like learn that spiders and other bugs are animals, right? Because me as a child watching all those animal shows, very rarely were they about insects or arachnids, right? Almost always what was on screen, the subject was larger animals that are like vertebrates like us. Sometimes you get some jellyfish in the ocean and things, but the small little buggy guys that are actually the overwhelming majority of animal life on the planet don't often get looped in there. And so like you said, it's pretty common experience to either be uncomfortable about spiders, not know a lot about spiders, be scared of them, or some combination of those. And for me, it was like at first I felt frustrated by that because it's like, why don't you love this thing that I think is the coolest thing? But learning a little bit more about it got me to realize like, oh no, that makes total sense because that's literally what people are taught their entire life. And because these animals are so small that unless we like go out of our way to look for them and like have fun experiences with them, all people are hearing about spiders is like stuff in TV and movies where like they're these evil monsters that get like the villain edit on the soundtrack and like,
Mhm.
oh, bring out like the spooky music, like a spider exists on the screen, like that sort of thing.
They're always like teeming in the shadows.
Yeah.
It's very sinister.
And so like if that's all you know, that's all you've ever been told about this animal, like when you see it, that's all your brain has to go on. And so it makes a ton of sense. And it's like culturally like reinforced, right? Like I have friends who are other like bug scientists and they have kids that are growing up in like the bug friendliest household in the world, where it's like there's butterflies, there's spiders everywhere. I'll show up, I'll give them like spider books and everything, and they love spiders. And they started going to like preschool and come back one day and say, I hate spiders. And like their mom will ask them like, wait, why do you say that? And the kids like they're just mirroring what they see. Because when you're a young kid, you just like have no idea what to do. And so you're just like absorbing stuff and be like, I'm going to act like other people, because that's how like the human brain works. Like, I want to fit into the culture. And if the culture is like, if most of the people are reacting negatively to the spider and you want to fit in, that you learn that and start doing it yourself. And then it just, at a certain point, it's like, oh, well, that's just how I've always reacted to them. They must be bad because that's how I feel. So it's like a really understandable thing, but the upside is that it is a learned thing, and you can always learn new stuff and learn to have even neutral experiences, right? Just like give your brain something else to like warm up to the idea of like, oh yeah, these are animals. They can be scary, but
I saw a spider and nothing happened. It wasn't a big deal.
And that's the thing. Spiders are kind of everywhere, but they're small. So like most of the time, if you go out looking for a spider, you'll find one and it'll just be like sitting there. But if you don't have that awareness or don't think about it, a lot of the time when people run into spiders, it's like by accident and the animal is startling you.
So like that's a negative experience, but the spider still didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like nothing bad happened to you. You just didn't like it.
It's just like, oh God, there is a Godzilla level monster here. I need to run away from it. The really cool thing is that there's been some research about that sort of like fear of spiders. I mean, because it's something that, you know, has been going on in culture for a long time. So people have wondered, like, is this something that humans are afraid of innately? Because there are ideas that, you know, oh, recognizing that spiders are dangerous and like avoiding them would be advantageous, because in some places there are some spiders that have usually not deadly, but very painful, or maybe deadly if you don't have access to like a doctor venom. And yet the most recent research that I'm aware of has like this very interesting twist on it, where there are animals that humans are innately afraid of, it seems like, which are snakes. So if you show like an infant that doesn't really know anything, right, pictures of different animals, they'll react to a snake-like shape with like their body will underscore like a stress and fear response. But with spiders, we don't see that until a certain age. For really young kids, your brain reacts to it, but it is the reaction of interest. It is, I am primed to notice and learn about this. But like whether that is a positive or negative reaction depends on what you learn. And so people, when their kids are young, they're just like, oh, I see it. I'm curious about this. And if they're given a chance to learn that this is a cool, interesting animal, your brain picks up on that really quickly. And if they get the chance to learn that it's normal for humans to be scared and like hurt this animal, unfortunately, that's also what they learn. But it means it's like I said before, you learn something, it's easy to relearn it.
Did you hear about the Peppa Pig spider episode?
I've heard around it. Like I've heard that there is a Peppa Pig spider episode that like is like originally from the UK, and then they played it in Australia,
and they were like, actually no,
where there are some of the few spiders that like, no, you shouldn't like go touch this animal.
Yeah, and like the original episode of Peppa Pig is supposed to be like, spiders won't hurt you, it's okay, let's be friends with spiders, which like it's a very pro spider message. But then I think they made the call that they were like, let's not teach kids in Australia to be doing that, because actually we do have some that will ruin your day.
Yeah, Australia is one of the places where like, yeah, there are spiders with strong enough venom that like, yeah, you need to go, if you get bit by the spider, you should go to the hospital right away. That's not like a super common thing, but yeah. It is, the risk of it is regionally specific, right?
Like everyone thinks they have brown recluses,
which in some places you just don't.
But it was brown. There was a brown spider. What else could it have been?
Why would an animal be brown? Mysterious. Clearly it's up to something.
Nefarious. It's a menace, for sure. A lot of people would be hard-pressed to come up with a favorite spider. I figured what better person to ask for their favorite spiders than a spider scientist who has kind of taken up the spider mantle and is flying the spider banner.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about your top 3 spiders today, which I'm very excited to hear because there's some real funky ones out there. So to kind of kick things off, I'd like to start with number 3. What would be your number 3 favorite spider?
So I'm going to say one thing up front. I already did an episode about jumping spiders, and so I challenged myself to not pick any jumping spiders on this list of 3 favorite spiders.
I know you were sweating, like,
It's really
my beloveds, please.
Yeah, it's tough because they are some of my favorites. However, the fun thing about spiders is there's so many potential favorites. So actually, this was difficult in a different way of like, okay, only pick three, only pick three. So I'm going to start with number 3, which is the family Selenopidae. And the genus I'm looking at is Selenops. And they have multiple common names. One is less fun. One is the wall crab spiders, which is like, it kind of looks like a crab spider, but you often see it on a wall. Less fun. More fun, I think more authentic, the flatties.
The flatties?
Because these little dudes, they be flat. They're like just barely 3-dimensional. We're really squeezing down into thin little spaces.
We are really covering the x-axis.
Yes, very much so. So with the flatty spiders, I know normally on Just the Zoo of Us, we do rankings for effectiveness, ingenuity, aesthetics.
We do.
We're going to speed run today's a little bit because we're trying to get to 3 spiders, but I'm just going to give you like little bullet points of each of those. So the whole thing about flatties is that they're flat. And this is part of what makes them really good at what they do, which is they are in the group of spiders that we call ambushing spiders. So instead of using a web to hunt, or instead of, say, wandering around searching for food, they set up in a location and they wait in ambush. And their whole thing is about having really quick reactions and being able to lure prey in through deception or through just camouflage. And so for the flatty spiders, the flatness helps them in that they can basically slide into any crevice, so that they like to be when they're hidden in crevices, but they also will just sort of sink into flat surfaces, and they don't create like a bump or anything. They're just like sitting there, just part of the wall.
Just flush on
the wall. And the other thing that if you're looking up a photo of a Selenops with us, which I do recommend, they have very long legs. And they sprawl out their legs all the way around them in like almost an asterisk shape, just increasing their like surface area. And so they're just, their general body is like useful. They've got a wide reach. They're very hidden. But the behaviors that they do when the prey item comes is one of the reasons that I picked them as one of the top tier, because they have, I'm going to read this quote verbatim. When attacking prey from behind, they show some of the fastest turning movements documented in terrestrial legged animals.
Wow.
And what that means is they're just sitting there. And like most spiders, their vision, they're not standouts in vision in any way. They're mostly feeling things through vibration. They're feeling wind movement. They're feeling vibration to the ground. They're feeling stuff that is unlucky enough to brush against one of their legs because they think that's just part of the rock, part of the wall. They have like the split second to go from I'm facing one way to spin around and grab the insect that just walked by. They can do a 180-degree turn in less than 116 milliseconds.
Ooh, so this is like blink and he's right on you.
Fastest heel turn you've ever seen. This is,
you heard someone behind you say something about you?
Yeah.
You just, boom.
They're on it. It is startlingly fast. And, because of their legs, because of the ability to sense vibration, because for a spider, they have 8 legs, and each of those legs is kind of an ear, because each of those legs have hairs on them that can hear and feel vibrations. So spiders in general are really good at pinpointing the location of a vibration, much more so than we can, because that's not something that we has specialized doing. And so they can spin around and grab a prey item really quickly. Now that in itself is fascinating.
Head on a swivel.
Yes, very much so. We do have Selenops in North America, which is why they're in my field guide. But most of them are in Central and South America. And unfortunately, I couldn't include this in the book because the ones that are here that don't do this, there are ones in South America that live on trees. And because any flat surface works for them, for catching prey. But when they're that high up, sometimes you just got to get out of there. And sometimes when you're in a tree, that means you jump off that tree and you're in the air.
Emergency eject.
Yeah, these spiders can actually glide. So they can glide from tree to tree. They are I think the only spider that we've seen do this, and definitely the only arachnid that we know that can do this, where their bodies are so flat and they can put their legs out and hold them locked in a way that they just start gliding through the air like a little wing and just control where they go. And they often will they'll like jump off a tree and they can like do a full 180 in the air to land back on the same tree or to another one.
It's very funny to me to imagine them doing all that to land back on the same tree, to be like, I'm back.
Yeah, look, it's my tree. Oh, you think you got rid of me? This is my tree. I live on this tree. Grew up on this tree. Gonna die on this tree. You know?
I may have perhaps overreacted, and I have returned.
There was a bird up there, but now, like 20 feet below, the bird's doesn't know I'm here.
That's true. Maybe they lost track of me.
So it's a very cool adaptation that unfortunately didn't make it to the field guide because the ones we have here are just on rocks. But I did want to put that out there as a amazing behavior that they do.
As like pro spider, friend to spiders, love them respectfully from a non-hands-on distance. If I look up and I see one of these dudes airborne, I'm peeing my pants on the spot. It's over for me.
So the good news for you is the ones that do this, they're like in the canopies of like rainforest trees. Like there's so much tree between you and them. You'd have to be like already climbing this tree, in which case you have to have just accepted there might be a spider on this tree.
There's stuff up there I don't want anything to do with.
But the ones around here, they're mostly in the southwest kind of area. You'll see them on rocks, and then if they notice you, they will vanish underneath a rock, and then you'll be like, oh, it's gone. It's sort of the general spider thing of most of the time they're using their abilities to get as far away from you as possible. Aesthetically, they are just camo. It's like we invented new types of camo wherever we're at. We got rock camo, we got wall camo, we got tree camo. It works. It's classy, but it's not like, you know, you're not shattering any fashion sort of trends here.
Very demure.
Very mindful.
Very mindful.
You see the way that my pattern breaks up my outline? Very demure.
You see the way I'm showing up to this tree? Very demure. Very mindful.
I will say the last little aesthetic thing, the reason that they're called selenops is because of their eye pattern. A bunch of their eyes are in a crescent shape, like a crescent moon. And so selene meaning moon and ops meaning eye, crescent moon shaped eye. Their eyes just are all kind of in a row because they kind of all have to fit into their very flat, squished face. So there's not a lot of room to... Most spiders have like 2 rows of eyes where they stack them, and we don't got space for that. Everything one line.
You need to fit everything on one axis, please.
Yes.
Just the one. Also, the way that you described them, like being flat against the surface and like moving around like that, I was trying to think, where is this like mental image familiar to me from? And it's from Danny Phantom. You know, like in Danny Phantom, how he like, he's like a shadow, right? Yeah. And he like rises up out of the shadow.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it is very much that like you move in the shadow outline and you're just part of the surface, and then suddenly they're active. Yeah.
Oh, there's a whole like Legend of Zelda game, right? Where you're like paintings on a wall, like you like.
Oh, I didn't play that one. Yeah. That's
Link Between Worlds, maybe.
Yeah, I know there is one that has that mechanic, or like in like Super Mario Odyssey, where you go into like the 2D parts of the level.
Yeah,
it's like that. Yeah, there are spiders. Selenops are not the only ones that are like we eschew the third dimension. 2 dimensions is plenty, and we will live in 2 dimensions, and this is our way. It's one of those things that shows up multiple times.
Flatland activities. Hey there, we are going to take a quick break to hear from a couple of our friends on the Maximum Fun Network. When we get back, we're getting to Sebastian's top 2 spiders, so stick around.
Hello, Internet. I'm your husband host, Travis McElroy.
And I'm your wife host, Teresa McElroy.
And this is a promo for Schmanners.
It's extraordinary etiquette.
For ordinary occasions. Every week, we're going to tell you about a bit of culture, a bit of history, how etiquette still applies in the modern day, all that stuff.
We also love to do biographies and histories of, and, you know, general procedurals, how to do etiquette in today's society.
So, come check it out. Every Friday on MaximumFun.org or wherever you find your podcasts.
Manners schmanners. Get it?
My name's Doug Duguay, and I'm here to talk about my podcast in the middle of the one you're listening to. It's called Valley Heat, and it's about my neighborhood, the Burbank Rancho Equestrian District, the center of the world when it comes to foosball, frisbee golf, and high-speed freeway roller skating. And there's been a Jaguar parked outside on my curb for 10 months. I have no idea who owns it. I have a feeling it's related to the drug drop that was happening in my garbage can a little over a year ago. And if this has been a boring commercial, imagine 45 minutes of it. Okay, Valley Heat, it's on every month on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get podcasts. Check it out, but honestly, skip it.
These are the chronicles of the Rancho Equestrian District in Burbank, California. These are the events taking place in my house and around my house.
What's your number 2 spider?
Okay, my number 2 spider, I'm going to hop over to a different part of my field guide. So we're going to go from the ambushing spiders over to... Now, this one is in the space-filling web weavers. So spiders build like cobwebs, tangle webs, the messy, disorganized webs. But it's one of the exceptions because this spider belongs to a family of spiders that lives, most of them make cobwebs. But this individual, this genus, has their own thing where they do not actually build any sort of complicated web. This is, I hope I'm going to say this right, Euryopus funebris, the eastern ant-eating cobweaver. As the name suggests, this is a spider that eats ants, which if you've spent any time listening, I don't know, have we had ant episodes of Just the Zoo of Us?
Yes,
Okay.
We did an episode on ants that was kind of a general overview. I believe that was with Aaron
Perfect.
Fairweather. That was really, really fun. And they've come up.
Yeah. So go back to the ant episode and integrate the idea that ants are the things that you do not want to mess with on that size scale. The way that I put it is that they are armored, they sting, and they have friends. And so anytime you mess with an ant, you have to be ready to end that encounter quickly or get swarmed. And that's why most animals just don't mess with ants. It's just it's not worth it. You either have adaptations to do this or you just go the other direction. Now, Euryopus is very specialized. So in terms of physical effectiveness adaptations, they have a really interesting leg posture. So they hold their legs. So most spiders, when they hold their legs, they kind of radiate out sort of semi-evenly, or sometimes it's 2 forward and 2 back. And Euryopus, unlike its relatives, have you seen a sea lion or something where they have paws, but they go out to the side and they do this?
Yes.
And so Euryopus looks like that. It's its front legs don't go forward. They go to the side, and they all kind
Excellent.
of curve backwards to the back of the spider. Now,
Huh.
I don't know for sure why they do that with their legs, but it makes them very easy to identify if you see one in a resting position. But I think it does have to do with the strategies they use to hunt ants, because I've said they don't make webs to catch their food. They don't make a village structure, but they do use a bit of their silk. And so what they'll do is they'll set up on bark or a plant where ants are, they're just walking along. And they will dangle from a line of silk. So they're just kind of loosely resting against the surface, right?
Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
sort of there's lasers everywhere.
Yes, very much so. And their head is down, so they're facing down towards the ground vertically and just waiting for an ant to pass by. And when that ant passes by, they pull off this insane lasso aerial silk acrobatic maneuver where an ant will be walking up the tree branch, right? And so it'll pass by the Euryopus, and Euryopus will, because it's dangling just lightly on a piece of silk, it'll drop and then swing off to the side and circle around the ant and very quickly lasso it with really sticky glue silk and bind it down to the tree.
Like a yo-yo trick.
Yeah.
It's like a yo-yo trick where they loop yo-yos around.
Except they are the yo-yo. So they become the yo-yo, and they do that full spin trick, and they pin the ant to the tree and then keep binding it. And even a pinned ant can still, if it got its mandibles on the spider, just kill it immediately. Ants have really strong jaws generally, and most spiders are glass cannons. Lots of attack, lots of speed, defense. We dodge. We do not get hit.
My weakness is damage.
Yes. They are using their speed to go in, and they'll quickly bite the ant on a leg and let it go, because that's one of the spider's moments of weakness, right? It has to get up close to bite something and inject venom, and it takes time for that venom to work. And so if they stay there, some spiders will stay and hold onto the prey. But with Euryopus, its ants are almost always bigger than it, the ones that it's hunting. And so if it's close enough, that ant can just reach over and sting or bite. And so it does this quick bite, keeps pinning it. And then by the time it's done, the ant is subdued. And it is fascinating to watch. And if you ever The way I learned about them was another arachnologist showed me one that he was keeping in captivity, and he'd be like, I have to like go out and catch ants for this thing because it will only eat ants. This is its whole thing. But it is so cool to watch because it happens so quickly that unless you're doing it in slow motion, you like can't tell what's going on. It's just like the ant suddenly is like pinned against the wall and is like trapped.
Like exactly like in the Spider-Man games, right? Where like in the Spider-Man games, you're always like pinning like bad guys to the wall with the webs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I often see it like implemented as a like, oh, Spider-Man doesn't kill people. He'll just like knock you out and stick you to a wall. And it's like, y'all, you just gave this person so much head trauma. And like, yes, he's pinned to a wall. Yes, he's not dead. But
sure.
I don't know. Yeah, it is
like
sort of
he
that.
may wish he was. Like,
yeah. The main difference between this and Spider-Man is in a lot of Spider-Man games, you do that with a projectile, and almost all spiders can't really projectile sticky things. The way they release silk, which is actually, I feel like a thing that like I also didn't learn until like way later than I should have. No one tells me, but like the way that spiders release silk is it's not something that they squirt out like you're squirting glue out of a tube or something. It is something that they unspool. Like if you have a like roll of tape and you touch one end to the ground to like a surface and like pull away, that's how silk is released. So a spider's movements are all about anchoring the silk in one location and then guiding it in the way they want to do, which is why they anchor the silk, drop down, and then do this like sideways spin to fully lasso the ant. It's sort of like old pull. Does anyone watch the original Star Wars movies anymore? It's like
for sure they do.
Okay,
for
good.
sure.
It's the it's if you're taking down an AT-AT and a land speeder.
Oh
and a snow speeder. It's that maneuver. It's the tow cable pull. That's what they're doing. Just ridiculously fast, and also vertically.
I was thinking of what do they call them? What are the things that they have in Attack on Titan?
Oh, 3D.
The like grappling hook sort of things that they I'm pretty sure they take down Titans that way, right? Like they like kind of spin around them.
I remember when Attack on Titan came out, I thought those things were the coolest ever. And I feel like they never really got used enough. Like it very quickly became about like Titan level versus Titan level. But like I loved the like, you have like this like thing and you're like grappling with the cable and like pulling things down. Yeah.
If they had learned more from spiders,
it'd be done.
Maybe they could have taken down some more Titans.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, maybe they should have taken some notes.
This is what I'm always saying is that more people should be paying attention to spiders.
Because look what we could be doing.
This is the thing. I see so many spiders in video games as monsters. And usually the response is like, oh, Sebastian, you must hate that because like it's teaching people to like attack spiders. And on like the most surface level, sure. The next level beneath that, I'm like, if a spider was that size, it would 100% try to eat us. Spiders are incredible predators. They are just predators of things their size or smaller, roughly. And so there's no spider that would like pick a fight with us because like there's no use in it. But if we were roughly the same size, they would go for you real good. They would 100% try to do so.
It would be game over for us.
Yeah, I mean, spiders very good at what they do. They are very good hunters. But what I found in the games is that the spiders in like a lot of games are like, they're really like easy enemies where they like, maybe they'll spit a little venom glob. Maybe they will rush at you and like kind of slowly run and like jump at you. And I'm like, y'all,
we could be doing more.
They could be doing so. You want to make a horror game? You want to make a game where you are like, these bugs are for real? Put a Euryopus in your game. Put a spider that's like, this thing is just like hanging there, camouflaged. And like, you walk by without noticing it. You failed at a passive perception. You're restrained, right?
If one of these starts gliding out of the sky at me, I'm uninstalling. That game is done for me. Have you seen, it's been a thing more recently in the last few years.
Oh, the arachnophobia modes?
Including
and
arachnophobia
it's just like a ball.
modes?
Yeah, those are my favorites. The one where it's a ball and it's like, let's just make
it
this
just
goofy.
Like says spider on it.
Yeah. And like, that's great because that's where I don't want people to like make that association. But like, I would totally play a game where I'm like, I actually have to like think about how the spider hunts and like what it's going to do and like deal with it as if it were like if it had the abilities that they really do. I would love that because it's a sort of appreciation that people have for like wolves and things, right? Where like wolves will eat people. And there are places where, that is a reason that wolves are being hunted and so on. But in a cultural level,
We like them.
people think wolves are cool. We think that pack hunting thing is really cool.
Yeah.
Even though they are a genuine potential threat to us in specific situations. And like, give spiders that respect.
The game Grounded, which I believe, I haven't actually played it, but I've seen people play it. It's a game where like you are tiny.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I'm thinking of.
Their arachnophobia mode has a slider where it's from 0 to 5, with 0 being it's just a normal spider. But as you crank the arachnophobia setting up, the spider gets less and less detailed.
It's just a blur.
At level 0, at level 5, it's just a circle. Like it's just a large
Okay,
sphere.
this is the one I've seen. Okay, I've seen that screenshot.
I think as you
Great.
as you tick it up, it like loses legs, it like loses traits.
That makes
until
sense.
It becomes like just a big circle.
See, that must be really interesting to like figure out like what is setting people off and like what can we do to make them uncomfortable.
What's the spookiest part of the spider?
Grounded, I will say this with the caveat that I've watched LPs of you. I haven't played you, so I don't know if you've changed this. I remember it's nighttime and then the spiders come out looking for you. This is accurate. There are spiders that do this. However, the one that I saw was a giant orb weaver walking around on the ground on stilt legs. And my friend, I have a whole section of the book that's called Wolf Spiders. This is what you want. You want the wolf spiders. You want to see that glinting green eye in the darkness, and you want to see them rushing at you.
And then you can incorporate the babies on the back, which is the most terrifying part of wolf spiders to me. Like, this is what I'm saying. We could be doing so much more.
We could be doing more.
We could be doing more with spiders.
We could treat them with the respect that you would like a lion. Like, make them, if you're going to make them an enemy, make them a cool enemy. Give them something. I don't want them to be like jobbers. I don't want them to be like mobs or whatever. No. Put respect on it if you're going to use it.
Game developers that are listening to this, email Sebastian if you're looking for a spider consultant.
I'm available for consultation. I have consulted with, I guess I don't know what company they're owned under now, but it was Blizzard, where they were looking for someone to like have a presentation for their designers about spiders and other animals that kind of live in underground and caves. I can do that. You want ideas? Look. My email?
A gold mine.
Create a whole bestiary for you.
You could be leading the pack in like spider representation. You could be on the cutting edge of spider character design.
Trust me, I have thoughts on spider character design. Very much trust me. Your game, you want spider enemies? You call me. You want like spider monster girls that actually like make sense? Call me. I can do this. Trust me on this. You want a Pokemon style monster collecting game? Ooh, do I have thoughts and ideas for both cute and scary. Email is always available.
Changing the world.
Get in there. Get in touch.
Sebastian, what's your number one spider?
Okay. Now, this is not my number one spider of all spiders. This is of the 3 I had to pick today. I have to say this because if there are spiders listening, they might feel bad. I have spiders in my room. I have my pet spiders.
We don't want to alienate our spider audience.
They're in this recording studio with me, and I don't want them to feel bad. So this is just of the spiders that I picked for today. And I did try to limit myself to spiders that you can see in my field guide. But today's top spider is, I believe, on the first page of the guide.
A real place of honor.
Yeah.
A strong first impression.
They are part of spiders that we call sensing web spiders, where their webs are pretty simple. And the job of the web, many people wouldn't necessarily even like call it a web, but it's silk. And the idea is that silk is extending the spider's sense of touch and vibration. And this is what we think that the earliest spiders started using silk for. It's what we see tarantulas and things do. They fall into this hunting style of using a sensing web. Today's spider is not a tarantula, though they look similar. They are a purse web spider. This is the family Atypidae. We have a couple of different species in North America. Now, the thing that makes them so special is that for people who live near them, around them, you may not ever see this spider, ever. They are living their lives in a very strange and very, very, I would say, introverted way. They're called purse web spiders because instead of like hunting from a burrow or hunting from a trapdoor like a lot of their relatives do, they hunt from a purse web, which is a cylindrical tube of silk that they attach either onto a tree root or underneath like some vegetation, and they camouflage it. So they are like these really fascinating decorators that they will take things around and like glue it onto the outside of their silk tube so that it completely blends in. And this tube is both their home, it's the entrance to their underground burrow, because the tube has an above ground and often an underground section. And it's the way they catch their food, because it's either like camouflaged on a tree root or like under stuff. And so when an insect walks along and like walks on top of the purse web, that sends those vibrations down to the purse web spider. It feels them, it knows where the prey is, but it never actually has to go out to catch food. If you remember, anyone's played like, it's in a bunch of stealth games, but I feel like the one that's like in my head is like in like the Batman Arkham Asylum games, where there are places where there's like a weak wall and you could use your like use some sort of like detective sense or something to be like, there's an enemy on the other side of this wall. So instead of like going around, I'm going to punch through the wall and knock them out. This is how these spiders hunt. And their fangs are fascinating because so the spider's fangs come in two segments. There's the upper segment that like attaches to their face. And then there's a lower segment, which is the one that like ends in the little needle point where they inject the venom. And these spiders have massive first segments. They're like big muscular first segments.
I'm looking at a photo. It's comical.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It is so, they look like they have like the most cartoonish buck teeth you've ever imagined.
And then the second segment of the fang, the actual like needle part, is like tiny and super long. And it's like usually folded up, but when they extend it, it's like almost, it's the same length or more of the first one, but it is like ridiculously tiny. And so what they do is they like pierce the wall of the purse web with those two fangs, and they like grab the prey and pull them in through the wall and then repair the wall like there was no damage. So it's like, it'd be like in a horror movie or something where you're just like, we're walking with a group, you turn around and someone's just like gone through the wall and like nothing happened. And you're like, did I see that? And like, that's how these spiders are hunting.
I do love that they're like, I'm not going out there.
Oh, no,
You're coming in here.
They are very much the like, I do not leave my house. Everything else, I don't deal with that. Work remotely, hunt remotely, all at home.
Contactless delivery.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Leave meal at door, please.
Don't worry, you don't see a door, I will make the door. Just show up, I'll make the door. It's fine.
Do not ring.
And the really cool thing about this is because they have to do this with their fangs and like grab something from the underneath, they have a lot of dexterity with those fangs. So a lot of their relatives, like tarantulas and other tarantula-like spiders, their fangs, they're very strong, but they usually only move in like one direction. So tarantulas and their relatives, the fangs swing like a pickaxe, like up and down. Like they rear up and stab down is how they catch food. And in most typical spiders, like jumping spiders or weaver spiders, just every average spider that you'll see, the fangs swing in from the side like a pair of pinchers. And the purse web spiders have the dexterity they can kind of move those fangs all the way around, and they can do like, they can both swing in from the top, they can swing in from the side. They're nimble with their fangs in a way that is very impressive if you get the chance to see it. But you might not, because even if you find a little purse web, they do not like to come out.
If you have seen something has gone terribly wrong.
Well,
that spider's having a very bad day if you can see it.
Yeah. Usually the only time they're ever seen is, if there's like something that has gotten them out of the burrow, or most often it's a male that has left the burrow and is looking for a female. Because this is the problem with the at-home lifestyle. They do want to mate with another spider eventually, and so someone's got to leave the house.
It's hard to make friends as an adult.
Yeah, it's very hard. And they're on the web, but they don't have the apps, they don't have
no web dating.
It's all in person for them. They're still part of that generation. And so males will leave once they mature, and they'll wander in search for females. And this is almost always when they're seen out, because they're just walking around. The part that I really like about their courtship and mating is that for a lot of spiders, mating is like a pretty short process. The male will arrive, he'll do some sort of courtship, usually like a vibration song. If you're like in a jumping spider, you get sometimes like a dance to go along with it, something like that. They'll mate and then go in their separate
tapping
ways.
Wonderwall onto the web.
Yes. You try a few things, you see what works. But with the purse web spiders, they do this really cute thing where, at least in some species, the male, so he finds a female's purse web, he'll go up and he'll do his courtship up there. He'll be like, hey, it's sort of walk at the window,
Let me holla at you.
boombox, play a song right in front of your door, see if you're there and let them in.
Tapping in Morse code onto the web like, you up.
Yes. And if the female says like, oh yeah, I'm up, he'll actually move in and he'll enter her web.
First date.
Yeah, it's very, they're very quick about it. Just do it all in passion, just like accelerate the relationship thing. Moves into her burrow, in her purse, and will actually stay there for the rest of his life.
Oh.
In some species, especially in like colder areas, the male will actually, like, they'll overwinter, and the female will like lay her eggs like deeper in the burrow, and the male will guard it closer to the entrance. And so you'll see him often like in the top, and then she's further down. And he will stay...
commitment issues here.
Yeah,
he is ready.
He's ready.
He's locked in.
Yeah, because like in a lot of spiders, it's like, male will mate and then like maybe go off and try to find another female and mate again. This is like, no, these are wife guys. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. They're really all about the partner that they have, and they dedicate themselves to it. So they'll move in, they'll guard the home from intruders while the female is taking care of the eggs. And then eventually they'll pass away, usually from old age, because mature males don't keep molting like the females do. And so they'll just reach a point where they pass away. They don't eat as much. And then she will eat him and take care of the babies and so on. But he's like, I'm locked in. This is it till death do us part. And I just thought that's cute because a lot of spiders just don't do that. And there's nothing wrong with the way that they've evolved to live their lives, but sometimes it's fun to see those exceptions when it shows up, when it feels a little more human in some ways.
I'm always trying to tell people it's the shy, introverted, quiet guys, the ones that want to stay home all day. Those are the ones that are going to stand by you. That's who you want.
That's the dedication.
Real husband spider.
If that's what you're looking for, can I interest you in a purse web spider? Because that's what you're going to get.
That's your relationship style.
Aesthetically, they're pretty like earth tony, The
one on the Wikipedia page is black and red, and I do love a black and red moment.
Yeah, okay. There's a species that has red legs. And so like, sometimes they go a little like contrasty, but
the face is so goofy. I feel like you're underselling how goofy the face is.
Okay, yeah. So the thing with their faces, God, okay, so one of the features of a spider's head is called the kaput.
No!
And it is how high
be that.
up. Okay, so like a spider, if you imagine like a spider's head from the side, it's sort of like, I think like a rectangle, right? But there's a point where like at the back it's kind of flat, and then it'll go up to fit like the brain and the eyes and the venom glands. And so how high up it goes is like how big of a kaput it has. And purse web spiders have a very large kaput.
Deeply unserious science.
Where their head, like, it goes very far up from the side. So it's like very flat in the back, and then it goes like very steep rise, and there's like a big dome, and on top of that big dome there's a tiny little secondary dome, very, very tiny, where they're like teeny little bitty eyes are. There's very tiny little pair of eyes on top of this like giant dome, and from that is where the big fangs are.
It's so silly, you guys.
Yeah, if you look at one like head on, they look ridiculous.
If you can manage to get close enough to a spider to get a good look at this facial situation, it is.
There's some good photos online, thankfully, that you can find if you look up a purse web spider and appreciate their kaput. You want the side view. You want the side view to really get the whole kaput experience. You know what I mean?
This is so unserious. Is this what you spider scientists have been up to this whole time?
Just the whole time. Yeah, 100%.
Silly, goofy, whimsical activities.
Yes, whole time. Okay, I will say the other aesthetic thing that they have that I find really impressive, their fangs and like their head are like very shiny. They have parts of their body that have like a short, bristly fur on them, but there are other parts of their exoskeleton that are like this like glass sheen to them.
It is glossy.
That is like really entrancing in the right lighting.
It is pretty. It's a good spider. I'd be happy if I saw one.
Yeah, exactly. I've only ever seen them in one specific place. There's one introduced population in West Philadelphia that we used to think was a different species, and it used to be like this cool endemic species in West Philadelphia. Now it's a cool endemic introduced species. But there's one place, like an area in West Philly, where you could just like find them everywhere. They're like super common.
How could that have possibly happened?
There's no way that the people from Europe
get here?
bringing
what are you doing here?
animals over the Atlantic? What? That's impossible.
Ariana, what are you doing here?
But I've never actually seen any of the native North American species as much as I've wanted to, because most of the time they're just at home.
They don't want you to
just
see them.
vibing at home.
That's how they want it. They don't want
Yeah.
you to see them. Maybe it's none of our business.
Okay, I just went on the Wikipedia page for this genus and I've learned a new fact that I must share.
Okay.
In Europe, people living in the Carpathian Mountains used to cut up the purse webs of these spiders and use them to cover wounds with the inner lining. So they would cut open the tube, and so the outside's camouflage, but the inside is like, white spider silk. And they used it, and it apparently helped with healing and like closing of the wound, because spider silk is antiseptic.
Oh.
So spider silk, there's a lot of research these days on, that's why spiders use it, or certain types of silk, they use it to like wrap their eggs and things because they need to keep them protected from bacteria and so on. And the properties of that seem to have become part of folk medicine in parts of Europe because if you find this tube, you could just slit it open and like use it as a Band-Aid.
Is that like a regularly used like medical technology? Like is silk something that has been like widely used?
I don't know its usage today in like modern medicine. I know it's a thing that is being researched to like find out, but I am not a silk expert. I'll say that much.
Seems like something that would be difficult to get a hold of in large quantities.
There are ways people can farm silk, but either through spiders or through like creating the proteins for it in like bacteria, like transplanting the genes. I don't know where it is in the level of like how often it's used in medicine. I just know it's a thing that's being studied. I imagine in most cases, you can put a Band-Aid on it.
There's easier ways.
You can probably put a Band-Aid on it and you'll be okay. But if you are in the strange combination of situations where you have access to a purse web spider tube and you do not have access to a Band-Aid and you have a small cut, now you know what to do.
If you were having a really weird day and you happen to have a purse web spider tube on hand.
Sometimes you have weird days. Hey, developers of Grounded.
Call me.
You want a new crafting item?
There you go.
My email is open, spiderdaynightlive@gmail.com. Get in touch. Let's talk.
I feel like the motto of this whole episode could be, we could be doing so much more with spiders.
It's very true. That's what I'm always saying. That's what I say at any point. We could be doing so much more. Hey, writers of Spider-Man. Writers of Spider-Man, do you want some ideas for some cool new powers and moves?
Because we're clearly like doing more. We're going into the Spider-Verse, right? Like we're doing more with spider stuff. Like
exactly.
There's so much more that can be done.
Hey, Insomniac. Come on.
DM's open.
I'm always ready to answer the spider questions. I have a list of powers. I have a list of moves that you can put in. Trust me.
And for anyone listening who is maybe a little spider curious, maybe wants to become a little more familiar with the spiders in their backyard, maybe wants to explore the spider world, where can they find your book?
You can find my book, Spiders of the United States and Canada, wherever you get your books. I recommend your local independent bookstore. If they don't have it in stock, ask to order it, or you can go to bookshop.org and you can get it from there, and that'll support a independent bookstore. You can also get it directly from my publisher. I know that people in Canada have had trouble ordering from bookshop.org, but if you go to my publisher, which is Adventure Keen, Adventure Keen Publishing, they will have the book and it will ship to both US and Canada.
Due to the size and shape of it, makes a good stocking stuffer. We got holidays coming up.
There you go. Any sort of nature lover in your life, you have some kids and you want to make sure they are excited about bugs when they see them instead of afraid. Here you go. Get them started.
And, it's always nice to have something that doesn't require a screen for the bug nerd in your life.
Exactly. That's a really fun thing about spiders. That is one of the reasons that I love knowing about them, is that because they live basically everywhere on the planet except for like the open ocean and Antarctica, you can have the experience of like a nature safari or like the experiences that I wish I had when I was watching those documentaries just in my backyard, because there are spiders there. And if you're new to these animals, you're just going to be finding a brand new type of spider everywhere you look, basically for years. if you're doing this like all the time. And for the rest of your life, there's always that opportunity to discover something that you've like never seen before. In the US and Canada, there's over 4,000 species of spiders. Across the world, there's over 52,000 species. And they have all taken a different idea of what it means to be a spider and just run with it in radically different directions. So you're always going to find something exciting.
There's lots of ground to cover.
Yeah.
And for anyone who wants to hear more from you, keep up with your work, follow along with what you're up to, where can people find you online?
Absolutely. So you can find me on the web at Spider Day Night Live. That's my handle on basically all.
Sorry, I'm sure you make that joke like 1,000 times a day.
Folks, you can't see it because this is an audio medium, but I am smiling a very sheepish, goofy smile. Spider Day Night Live on all social media pretty much. And if you go to spiderdaynightlive.com, it'll have links to other podcasts I've done, including the previous episode of Just the Zoo of Us about jumping spiders. It'll have links to the shows that I've made and various other spidery fun time things for you to explore.
Awesome. Well, I will have links to everything, including where you can go to get the book, where you can go to follow along with more of Sebastian's work. Links to everything will be in the episode description. So anybody curious can go follow along. Sebastian, thank you so much for joining us. It is always a treat to get to talk to you. I hope that we've recruited some people to Team Spider today. So we will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you found a new favorite spider here with us today. If you liked what you heard, I hope you leave behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. If you'd like to hang out with us on the web, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Links to everything will be in the episode description. You can also send me an email at ellen@justthezooofus.com if you have a cool animal you'd like to hear us talk about on the show. We'd like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside their other wonderful shows like the ones that you heard promos for here today. You can go check those out and learn more about the network and how you can be a part of supporting our show over at MaximumFun.org. Finally, we would like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music. That's all for today. We'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
Directly
by you.